Thank you for joining us this morning on the American Senior Benefits Family Hour alongside Todd Riley. I am Jay Stoll. If you want to call in, you have questions, call the Honda of Lincoln hotline 402-464-5685, or you can go on the Starter Heyman text line as well. Getting into it, lots to talk about today. We're going to recap the Husker football game, talk a little bit of the World Series, definitely get into what we do, helping the community and helping folks understand the tricky world of Medicare, and then awesome opportunities how you can jump aboard and join us. Getting into it to begin, Todd, Husker football loses yesterday again, unfortunately. Expectations are pretty high for this game. I think they've been kind of subdued now. 23-9 to Illinois. Illinois, and I was just talking. There's no really good team in the Big Ten West. There really is not. The Big Ten West is, in my opinion, is below average this year. I mean, 2018 to 2021, some school out to the east of us named Iowa dominated. So the fact that Iowa's not doing good this year, the Big Ten West is down. Thoughts on the game? Thoughts on where Nebraska can go from here?
Well, first, you are, and good morning, Jay, by the way. Good morning. On the Big Ten, it is below average. Just some of you can just see them going nowhere fast this year. As far as the Huskers, as we were talking a little bit before the show started, kind of what maybe should have been expected. The game played out as it probably should. It was tough, obviously, to see the quarterback go down. There was a couple bright spots. If I remember right, last game there was 0 sacks, 0 pressure on the quarterback. I think there was 2 sacks this game, so that was a little bit of an encouragement. One thing too, they seem to be playing a little smarter football. I think there was 3 penalties for the whole game, so we got to find a bright spot. I guess those are a couple.
Yeah, go ahead and get your Big Mac, folks. This
right.
This is the Sunday to go ahead and do that. Jay Stoll, Todd Riley on the American Senior Benefits Family Hour. Harrison is manning the controls. Offensive line is still a problem.
Yeah, you look to how thin we are. It's not going to get better either for the rest of the season. Nuri being out was huge. You got Prochaka, he's out, and then we're trying to find guys like Brant Banks to get in there. He's holding up at least. We're just so thin there already, and like you guys are saying, the recruiting for the offensive line just hasn't been there either. It's a tough spot. I can't see it getting better this year.
With a whopping 60 rushing yards on the game, and Grant being the leader at 5.1 yards.
We went away from it too. That drove me nuts. Why did we go away from the running game? That was the only thing working for us in that first half. You look at the first half, we had 248 yards total. I think it was around 227 in the first half. We barely got anything in the second half because we were like, oh, we're down. We got to start. It's 2-possession game. You can run the ball yet.
Certainly could.
So, that if you're on the Mickey train or the Whipple train, that's the only part right there where I'm like, why the hell do we keep getting away from the run game? It was working.
Yeah, it was. Now, who is the adult in the room that we hold responsible for what's going on with the offensive line? So the question with that is, we have these kids here. Now, physically, I have no doubt that they know what to do, right? They're built, they can move an ox. I get that. Why is it still the struggle of the IQ game? Why is it still the struggle of these guys are missing, slants? These guys are on goodness gracious, on an extra point, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was terrible.
Running right through the middle. And I know everybody has seen it on Twitter. And if you haven't, you can go look at it. 54 again has his struggles. When is it time that instead of holding the CEO accountable, that the person or the positional coach now is held accountable? So in our industry, if someone's not doing their job the way we want them to do it, it's very easy for Todd and I to say, you know what, it's my fault. I'm working with this person. I've done this, that, and that's wrong. When that person needs to be held responsible as well. When is it time that we look at who is not maybe living up to expectations or making the adjustments for the reason why the offensive line is where they're at. Because again, this is more IQ. These guys should know what they're doing. Do we look back at high school and say, all right, these guys 3 and 4 stars, that's great, but the recruiting we were doing, we wanted big guys.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want high IQ guys. Is that something that Nebraska looks into? Is, if you want, a good offensive line, if you want a smart offensive line, you have to look at IQ first to make sure they know what they're doing, and then say I can build them up. Because the 2 most smartest people on the football field, number one is going to be your quarterback, of course, but number 2, you got to have that offensive center.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be able to do shifts, call plays as far as we're going to slant right, slant left. The biggest thing that I've seen for the problem for Nebraska football this year for the offensive line hasn't been the physicality. They can move you 10 yards. The problem is they're going to move you 10 yards, but they're not going to get the guy coming behind that. And then our quarterback, of course, is going to get killed, which inevitably we knew was going to happen. We knew it was a matter of time. My thinking I want to hear this week is I'd like to hear Raiola talk about what he's doing and what he's trying to implement. And why is it not sticking? Is it something that these guys just have Austin in their head? They're doing what he was teaching them and they're not adapting? Or is it that Austin's just, or Raiola's just not getting through to them?
Todd Elliott, take a stab at that first.
Please do.
Oh, I said you can take a stab. That's a loaded question.
I don't want to take a stab. Sorry, I'm still half asleep this morning.
Back to you, Jerry.
Back to you in the booth. Actually, Jay brought up a great point. If we have one of our agents that is underperforming, we know where to look. We know what to evaluate. We'll watch them. We'll listen to them. We'll put them on tape. We'll find out where the area of concern is. Because we always say if a person has strong communication skills and a good work ethic, we can make them do anything, and they can accomplish anything. Well, that transfers over here too. I don't know. Is it a work ethic issue? Is it a coaching issue? But I definitely think somebody up above ought to be taking it person by person, reviewing the tapes, reviewing the film, seeing, okay, you didn't do this. How did you miss this? What did you see here? What did you not see here? And just see where the issue lies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to watch because there's so much possibility and so much capability. Now you have those folks that are also saying, Mickey's not the guy now after one game. It's typical Nebraska fans. I've been one. You're one. You guys are all one here. Before the Illinois game, yep, Mickey's a guy. We love him. Let's give him the reins. Let's just take the interim tag off. Once he beats Illinois. Well, slow your roll down. Illinois is a top 17 team.
Mm-hmm. Defense is real too.
Defense is real. We saw Purdue third string running back put up over 200 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
The stadium was electric. It was on fire. But again, talent is good so far. But when you have better coaching, it shows. And what Bielema's done in 2 years, I'm not going to say it's remarkable because there's coaches that do that. You don't need 5-6 years for a turnaround time like the previous coach, was telling us. You could do it within 2 or 3 years, right? Just have to have a system in place, and you have to have the right personnel and the right people around you. What folks got to realize is Mickey didn't handpick any of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 guys on this team that Mickey had a huge say in bringing in, and that's Trey Palmer and Casey Thompson. Other than that, I guarantee Mickey, would go a different direction with what he has. So for the folks out there, saying, hey, Mickey's not the guy, let's bring somebody else. And well, he's 2-2 right now. He's 2-2 in the Big Ten West, right?
And that's sadly quite good compared to recent years.
Right. Right. So will he right the ship? I believe so. I hope so. Will it equate to victories? That's another story.
Yeah. To add on to that, what Mickey has to overcome it's incredibly tough. I mean, we still don't really have an identity. Mm-hmm. What is Nebraska's identity? We don't have one yet. Through 4.25 years of Scott Frost and Mickey taking over, Mickey trying to put together a team identity with guys he, like you said, he didn't necessarily handpick. And like we're talking with Brett Lima, 2 years, you know what those teams are going to be. They're going to be drive the ball, long possessions, and just eat clock, super conservative. I don't know. There was like 2 4th and 1s yesterday. They didn't even go for it. It seems kind of dumb. It's like you got Chase Brown, you could easily get that and keep the drive, but that's not their identity. They know exactly who that team is. And that makes that process of finding that culture, way easier. That's why you can get it done in 2 years. You know who you are. Year one, you work out the kinks. Year two, you already putting that together, that blueprint. Mickey Joseph is still working on the blueprint. I don't know if we know who we can be with this roster. Like you're talking with the offensive line, what is Donovan Raiola doing? Out of all the hires we have, Donovan Raiola, being a Bears fan, he was the offensive line coach for the Bears last year. That was not a good offensive line. So when we got him, I was a little worried, not only for the Bears play, but also his connections. I'm like, who's he going to bring in? We obviously need to get. He didn't really bring in anyone. We got Hunter Anthony from Oklahoma State, who he's been okay. He's been put in tough spots, so I don't want to bash on him. He's had some tough spots where he just got thrown in there, and what it already is a pretty banged up offensive line. So, like you said, I want to know what he's doing. The guys are huge. You watch an Ohio State game. The guys fire off the ball, but it's not just that. It's like what you're saying. They're going next level. Everyone's on the same page. They get the chip block. They work up to the secondaries. I rarely see our offensive line successfully work up to the second level, and that makes that running game so much harder. Like you said, you can get the first guy, but we can't, without Cam Jurgens there, especially trying to figure out that pressure. If they bring any pressure at all, any little kink to that rush, we miss guys a lot. And that's what's leading to guys like Casey Thompson, getting hurt. It's just you're missing guys wide open because the communication just isn't there. So maybe it is an IQ thing.
It most definitely is what I think. As well as we had, some big time recruits there yesterday, which was excellent. Some quarterbacks we're looking at, which is excellent as well. How do you think if it went through the quarterback's mind where they're seeing Casey get killed, Chuba get destroyed? Right. If you're a recruit coming in here, you're not looking at this year. You're also looking at the last couple of years to see how things went. And you see Adrian Martinez getting absolutely destroyed. Like I said,
moving on and being more successful elsewhere.
Exactly. Well, like I said, when you have protection, the talent is there. Right. I have no doubt about the talent. It's the mentality. It's the IQ. It's doing the play the right way and doing your job. And if somebody does not do their job, right, there's a chink in the armor then,
right,
and that shows, and that's been a plague in Nebraska for how many years now. Getting into as well, the Astros tied up at 1-1. You watching the World Series at all, Harrison?
Yeah, I've been keeping up. I saw Phillies came back on a huge comeback game, that first one, and now Astros. I was wondering, it was like, maybe they'll do it again. Phillies, it just didn't happen last night. Phillies, they have just kind of been that team, though. They always play from behind. It seems like the entire season. That's kind of been their MO. So, I wouldn't be surprised if next game Astros come out and leading again. But the Phillies are just one of those teams you can never put away. You have to be worried about them coming back.
Absolutely. The Phillies are a team that, if you match it up on paper, the Phillies have to play an absolute perfect game to win.
Yeah,
absolute perfect. Where the Astros can have some errors, can have some flexibility. It's going to be a good series. Altuve is my son's favorite baseball player, so we've been watching him this whole postseason. He was like 3 for 36 or something like that, and busted out a shell yesterday. And he got some 3 hits, so that was nice to see. I'd like to see it go 7. Just being a baseball fan, being a sports fan in general, give me more.
I'd be more surprised if it didn't on this one. I think these guys are pretty evenly.
It seems like it.
Yeah. It's a fun series to watch, actually.
And then the volleyball team bounced back.
They're still ranked number 1 nationally, which I thought that was awesome. I was like, we didn't get knocked down for that. I'll take it. I thought after, Wisconsin kind of, gave us the woodwork, I was like, it might be tough. But we're still ranked number 1 nationally. I guess, the people making those rankings are seeing something yet that says that's not necessarily this team, even though they lost to Wisconsin. They didn't drop us down. So they must see something. And I think it's probably just our defense. We're still just incredible on defense. Our digs, it's really our volleyball team just needs to clean up the serving and stop getting killed on aces. That's one thing. Struggling to errors on the serve and then just receiving the serve in general. That's been a huge problem for John Cook, and he's been open about that.
Yeah. He's talked about that for some reason. I don't know what it is, but Wisconsin's our kryptonite in volleyball.
Yeah.
But again, if you have those 2 7-footers in the middle for Wisconsin, good Lord, we should get them for Nebraska basketball, even better. Help out the post play right there. Husker basketball started off as well. not a lot to take from it. It was an exhibition, right? Playing a D2 school. Today's going to be the Colorado game.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a little bit better for exhibition wise. What are you looking at for Nebraska basketball? So I'll tell you what I'm looking at personally. Yes, we need the physicality down low, but goodness gracious, can we please start hitting those 3-pointers?
Yeah.
I mean, can we please do what Fred wants us to do? I mean, we're swinging the ball all over the place, breaking wide open, free shots, and not making it. That was me. I'm on the clock right now for the draft.
If you want to talk to Jay, call him, text him at the Sartor Raymond text line. That could be his phone that you hear in the background, folks. 402-464-5685.
Yeah. Like CK say, get hot and make some shots here.
Yeah, I don't know why the 3-point shot has just constantly fled from this team. Because the guys are good shooters on paper. They all should be able to hit threes. For whatever reason, just bad luck or something, Fred Hoiberg has never had that 3-point shooting offense that he needs for that offense to work. And, that Chadron State exhibition game, another atrocious 3-point shooting night we still won. Obviously, it's Chadron State. Even if you shoot poorly, you should be able to win that one just based off pure physicality and athleticism.
You would hope.
Yeah, you would hope, right? But again, if the 3-point shot isn't falling, I don't know what this offense can do. You're going to see a lot more Derek Walker running things from the high, the elbow, high post, wherever. And then I will say Sam Griesel, he's going to be huge for us. We're going to be leaning on that guy a lot. I think we're going to need him consistently to play great. I mean, that's kind of where we are. The roster, I'll be honest, the roster doesn't look elite by any means, even in the Big Ten. I mean, honestly, my projections for this, 500 is kind of probably the goal. I'd try to get to 500 at least.
Okay, I can see that.
Big Ten play, try to get, if you can get 500 in Big Ten play, that's at least a step up. You got to just see incremental improvements at the least. I don't want to have another year where it's like, it just didn't work out. We never got the 3-point shot going. We kind of end up where we end up last year. We need, Fred's had enough time. You had some rough patches with COVID and everything, but it's time to, you have to have those incremental steps.
Yeah.
He's been here for a while. If I don't see it this year, it's like, what are we doing? We're just wasting time.
And you go back when Bill Moose hired Scott Frost and he hired Fred Hoiberg, and everybody collectively is saying, wow, this is the greatest AD ever. Look at the two guys that he brought in, right? Look at the two guys. But then unfortunately, just it hasn't equated to the wins that we'd like to see.
Speaking of coaches, I want to know the answer to this. One of you guys, I'm sure, knows. The Tennessee coach for the football, how long's he been there?
Josh Heupel. He's been there, 3-4 years?
Yeah, I'll look it up. I think it's 3 or 4 years. I think you're right. I want to say 4.
Just reason I asked, again, Harrison mentioned a second ago, you should be able to do something in 2 or 3 years. If that's not a living proof of what you can do in 2 to 3 years. I've got a real good buddy of mine that graduated from Tennessee. I've been to a bunch of games there. Fun stadium, by the way. Just you and 100,000 of your closest friends, but they weren't good. But I do see the parallel and hopefully the future parallel for Nebraska fans. Tennessee was all world back in the day, monster quarterbacks, national champions, and then a decade of being sad, actually. And now, boom, new guy, 2-3 years later, off they go. And I think they're the most fun team to watch right now in the NCAA.
Yeah, it's year 2, by the way. So even faster.
Wow.
That's incredible. Yeah, year 2, 8-0 right now.
But the thing is, they got an RPO quarterback, and that is the transition of college football now. If you look at the top teams, maybe besides Ohio State, because they got CJ Stroud, but even Tennessee with Hendon, right?
Hendon Hooker, yeah.
Hooker, right? It's an RPO. You think of and I hate to say this, right? But good gosh. In case he's athletic, right? But he likes to stand in the pocket and throw. He likes to throw off his back foot because he's being chased. You get Nebraska a quarterback that's an RPO guy. So now, instead of that handoff like we did in the first quarter, the back-to-back plays inside the 10-yard line, right? First one up the middle, second one the quarterback can pull it and run. That is a huge, huge detriment. Now, the greatest quarterback we have for that right now is Logan Smothers, but unfortunately, they don't believe in his arm strength. They just don't. And Mickey said that yesterday, that the reason we went to Chuba is he can throw a ball better. So, Nebraska, and I truly believe in college football, if you have an elite quarterback in college football, you're going to be a good team.
Mm-hmm.
You will. An elite quarterback can win you games in college football. Not
Right.
so much in the NFL unless you're, Allen or Mahomes. But in college football, if you have somebody that can put you on their back and go, you can win a lot of games. And that's what I think Nebraska's thriving for. And when you get a quarterback like that, now all of a sudden the offensive line plays harder because they believe. Now all of a sudden the running back runs harder because they believe. And now all of a sudden you have the defense that's flying around the ball because they believe.
How fun is that Georgia game going to be next week? I think
Ooh.
that when I looked at, because again we're kind of fans because of our friend that went there. When we looked at their schedule, Alabama and Georgia and they just beat up on this week yesterday.
Georgia?
No, Tennessee.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky, thank you. Who's ranked? And I first looked at the schedule. I'm like, ooh, that's a tough one. Maybe they'll win one of those. They could sweep the thing. I really think the Georgia-Tennessee game is going to be the game of the week next week.
Oh, no, it's going to be Nebraska, Minnesota. 11 a.m. kickoff. Harrison's going to be able to get home by about 5 o'clock, watch the night games, enjoy
nice.
life. Get the smoker going first thing in the morning so when you get home, things are ready to go.